um, okay, so today is July 9th, 2026. It is currently 10:06 a.m. I have gotten a total of 3 hours of sleep because last night was immeasurably hard. A lot had happened, but a lot is still uncertain, but a few things that I think were powerful did happen. I came to a lot of realizations. In the prologue episode, I talked about how I felt like I stepped back into my body, and last night while I was having some very tough conversations for most of the night, I felt my brain snap into myself. Like I felt like Tavari again. I felt like the kid that loves like a tsunami. And it was terrifying. It's still terrifying, you know? You don't really know what's gonna come of this. You don't know if I'm just gonna be this giant wave and I'm gonna be the one left dry at the end of it. You just don't know what's gonna happen, and I think in a lot of ways that's scary. I am a very emotional person. And I overthink just about everything. The more questions my brain can come up with, the more thoughts will be overpowering, and I won't be able to stop them. So the first law of the Dakota seems like a great place for me to begin. Not just because it's the first, but because the law is accept the world just as it is, or accept everything just the way it is. And that's hard. You know, that's really difficult. That's really difficult to accept things as they are when your heart's in it. You know, you don't want to let go of something that you feel in your heart. This version of Dakota does have an interesting section here that I think is a good starting point for my thoughts and my feelings towards this law, or this principle, I should say. Where is it? Yeah. Okay. For Musashi, acceptance wasn't a sign of defeat, but a strategy for living fully in the here and now, unfeathered by the anxiety of trying to control every outcome. Just as pre-young opened a chrysalis undermines a butterfly's emergence. Battling against the natural order saps our resilience. By acknowledging reality without resistance, we open the door to genuine empowerment and inner peace. I think the parts that stuck with me the most there is that acceptance isn't a sign of defeat, but a strategy for living. without being controlled by anxiety. The anxiety of trying to control the outcome. I think with how emotional I am and how I overthink, I think that I've been trying to control outcomes so that I don't get hurt, so that I don't hurt other people. But in order to accept the world as it is, I have to accept that it's out of my hands and it's out of my control completely. I think that I spent most of my life, if not all of my life, not having control of things. So then when it comes to, let's say, romance, for example, when it comes to romance, I try to I think on some level I do try to control certain things. Not the other person. I never try to control my partner or the person I'm interested in, but I do try to control or minimize the amount of pain that I give them. Because life and relationships, they come with some level of pain. I've done a lot of things that in hindsight and thinking about this now, I've done a lot of things that I felt were the right things to do. But it's driven people further away from me, because then it essentially was me putting up a wall. I had heard someone speak on the internet randomly a few days ago, and they said the same walls that you built to protect you are the same walls that block your blessings. How do you dismantle those walls? How do you not succumb to fear of missing out on this, missing out on whatever it is that you want? I think in order to accept everything just the way it is, we have to embrace change. I think that we have to embrace change, and I think that's kind of interesting because I've spent my entire life moving around. I have always gone through change, but I think forcibly being moved around and consciously making decisions that force you into a metamorphosis of yourself are so different. They're so different, and I never would have known or thought about it or even imagined it, I guess. So I love like a tidal wave, and I'm afraid of being left dry again while the other person is so full of this love that they can embark on their next journey. The journey that has nothing to do with me. Obviously, these Japanese philosophy books have a lot to do with Buddhism as well. One of the biggest things in Buddhism is letting things go. And how that's kind of the answer for everything. I'm not one to hold grudges on people. I'm one to always forgive, and I let things go. So why is it that when it's me that has to allow someone else to let me go, I struggle so much? Now it's, well, wait. Now it's bargaining. Now I feel afraid, and so now I have to explain everything that was going on in my head, because I didn't want to explain everything that goes on in my head. I don't think didn't want to is the right terms for this, but I'm always afraid of explaining what goes on in my head, because it might not make sense, because it forces me to be vulnerable, because it is a lot. A person that I love deeply had told me once that my brain is a labyrinth without any doors and only windows, so I can see the outside in order to have hope. That same person told me that I'm terrified of happiness. And they're right. Because for me, happiness means inevitable suffering. It means that it will be gone eventually. Like, maybe we become different people. Maybe a stranger says the right thing at that right moment, and everything just kind of starts to crumble. Not because the foundation isn't strong, but because there's been doubts, there's been questions. Maybe because we had a conversation one day and I felt like in order to not hurt you, I dial something back or take a step back because I don't want to make you uncomfortable and I want to respect the boundary and all that stuff. But the thing about boundaries when they're set, for me at least, is I don't know how far back from the boundary to go. You know, it might be, could you just not do this one thing? And it's something super simple. Like, hey, don't trust this vase, or don't touch the vase. That's the boundary. It sits there, leave it alone, don't touch that vase. Me, who I am, or who I've been conditioned to be, because I am finding who I am now, I won't even go in the same room as the vase in order to never cross that boundary. But I think that gets more complicated with more nuanced conversations. Like if you have a partner who has certain experiences with sex, and you love them, so you love sex with them and stuff like that, and obviously you want to have sex with them, right? But they have certain feelings about it and they express that to you, so then you pull back. If you're me, you pull back, but you don't realize that you pull back so far that you don't flirt anymore. Not because you don't want to, because you don't want to sexualize them and make them uncomfortable, and then they leave. See, my brain is very, very organized in its chaos. My spirals are very organized. It's never 2 + 2 is 4, I'm jumping off a ledge. It's never like that. It's, well, here's the boundary, here's what's close to that boundary, but if you stay all the way over here, I should just use another hand. If you stay all the way over here, right, way over here, you can never get close to that boundary. Yeah, but that means that I also don't get close to that step that could get to the boundary. It's like, yeah, because if you approach that step, you could make them uncomfortable. You could accidentally go across the boundary. You could do any number of things. And is your desire worth the possibility of losing what you want? And when I listen to my brain, the answer is no. So I'll stay in the other room, a room where the vase is not even in line of sight. And I think that not only pushes people away from me, but it makes them feel like I am pushing them away. Also, I don't think that this whole series is gonna be about love, but as a hopeless or maybe a hopeful romantic and a literary romantic and as a writer and just as a person that has always wanted to feel the love that you couldn't have before. At least this one, I feel like talks more about love for me. I believe it's a life philosophy version, of course, of accept everything just the way it is. The sun's gonna come up, the sun's gonna come down. You're gonna have sad days, you're gonna have bad days, things are gonna happen, and you need to be able to sit and breathe and not worry about everything that's coming 10 miles down the road. And I'm working on that as well. But I've come to realize trying not to bash myself and, trying to speak kindly about myself. I've come to realize that who I was a person who is willing to do anything to keep someone in their lives, even if they're not good for me, even if it causes me pain, even if it means never stepping foot in the room with the vase. I think a lot of my suffering has been that. Is that I'm so terrified of pushing over a boundary that I won't even go in the same room. That's the line. I think a lot of times in life, we can get hung up on what we wish had happened, what we want to have happened, and not on what actually happened. I think I disassociate a lot. Well, I don't think I do. I know for a fact I disassociate a lot because I'm adaptive daydreaming, but on a fundamental level about myself, I think I separate myself and my wants and my desires in order to make life more comfortable for the people that I care about. I'm not an indecisive person, but when my friends ask me what game I want to play, I always say it's up to them. And I think this is in the same vein as that. I think I need to accept that there's nothing wrong with having an opinion. There's nothing wrong with having a desire or just a want for your life. There's a later principle in the Dakota, if memory serves me right, there's a later principle that says be detached from desire your whole life long. And I think when I first went through the Dakota, I misunderstood what this meant. And maybe that was also to my detriment. I guess we'll see how I feel when I get there this time around. So, principle number 1, accept the world as it is. And I will try to remember that acceptance is not a sign of defeat. It is a strategy for living fully in the here and now, without being tethered by anxiety, the anxiety of trying to control every outcome. I've done a lot of crying the last 5-6 days. I haven't done much sleeping in that time either. I've definitely done a lot of crying, and I think that I'm going through a metamorphosis now, because I feel like I've walked back into my life. I've snapped back into my true self, warts and all. And now I'm trying to build or embrace this version of me to its fullest extent how loving he is, how scared he is, how mesmerized by things he is, how observant he is. Yeah. I think one of the hardest things about growing up in a military household during eras of war, especially as a male, at least, I'll speak just for myself, of course, but I think one of the hardest things, other than finding a way to fit in this world, is that you're just another mini soldier. You know, you're not allowed to show fear like that. You're not allowed to be too much with your emotions. An emotional man is a dangerous man. You know, it's not regulated or anything like that. And I'm not trying to be emotional in the way of, oh, this guy could do some serious harm to some people. Not like that. But I think I'm building my emotional intelligence to a point where I am okay with accepting how things are. And I know it's in me because it happens when I reach a certain point. Like, events will happen, things will be said over and over again. I will grieve people that are still alive mid-conversation as they're telling me this is going to be a goodbye. So I can accept things. And when I get to that point, I feel empty, hollow, detached. And I think that feeling is what I'm most scared of. I'm worried that if I accept everything just as it is, I will always feel like that. And maybe that's not true. Today I didn't get up at 5 and do my writing. I didn't get up and go on a run like I wanted to today and everything, but I will go to the gym tonight. I will do my meditation. I will do my mental health journaling tonight as well. And I might have lost the morning, but it doesn't mean I've lost the day. Let's do our I ams. I am emotionally intelligent. I am spiritually in tune. I am a caring friend. I am a loving husband. I am a protective father. I am a ball of love and light. I am able to accept things as they are. I am able to accept things as they are. I am not my anxiety. I am not my dark thoughts. I am not the chrysalis. I am the butterfly. I am not the rain. I am not the thunder. I am not the clouds. I am the sky. I'm gonna cry. gonna be angry, but those emotions are not me. They are things that run through me. They need their space, they need their time, and they will dissipate because I am the sky. The storm clouds will come, it will thunderstorm for days, but that is not who I am, for I am the sky. This new version of me is a tree that has just been planted. The roots are growing, but I haven't gone up yet. And that's okay, because I am the tree. I am that seed. I am created in the image of our Father God, who empowers me, the greatest storyteller to ever exist, and he gave a smidgen of that power to me. Therefore, I will always be loved and cared for and cherished. I am emotionally intelligent. I am emotionally regulated. I am a soul. I'm not just a human, I am a soul. Things are gonna change. Life is going to change. People, my relationships, they're all gonna change, and that's a good thing. Accept the world just the way it is, for it is beautiful and daunting. But most of all, it is light, and it is love. I love myself. I am a good man. I have made mistakes. I have hurt people along the way. But I am kind and I am never malicious. I am a good man. I've learned to accept things just the way they are. I am late for work. That's okay. This has been episode 1 of the Nomad Alone video essay portion of it. And the date again is 7/9/26. It is July 9th, 2026. Our first lesson today was to accept everything just the way it is. And on a deeper level, I am learning to not let my fears push me out of the room.